So the first topic we're going to be talking about today is
Hmm.
the pandemic that's been going on and
Got
how our life how our lives has changed, kind of like adjusting to life because we all go to college
you. Hmm.
and life at college and life at your home or your family's home is very different. So how has the
Very different.
pandemic changed your course of life and the way you see the future?
Um, I will say that I got out of there as soon as I could. That's why I'm here in Washington because my family has we were my like that permanent house or whatever is in Northern California, and I was there for what like every single day with my siblings and my parents um for like 4 months, and it was just it's not that it wasn't like, oh my god, I can't, oh, like, what the fuck, like, I gotta go. I mean, in my back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, it's just sometimes my family isn't the most accepting of me being who I am, like being gay. Like, I was raised Christian, so like, and like both sides of my family are very religious, so like,
Mm.
and then I actually go to a community college in Southern California, and I had an apartment there. Um, it was just, and I felt very free, but like coming back home, kind of like, it just feels weird. I don't know, like if you guys feel that, like just, and it was like a weird time too. It just feels uncomfortable, and like I'm like, I don't, I didn't see myself ever coming back and living under the same roof again. So it's just kind of weird.
Yeah, I totally understand what you mean. I feel like for me, I mean, I'm not officially like out to my parents or whatever, but come on, read the room. Like it's kind
Right.
of like, have you seen
Clock
the
the voice,
picture?
mama. Clock the voice.
Basically, have you seen the picture where it's like, guess what animal that is? And then it's a fucking elephant with like just like a bar over the eyes. Like that's me. Come on, guess the elephant. Um, and so
Please.
it's whatever. Like I feel like I am always kind of like who I am around my parents, even if I don't like say it. There's certain things though, like that I don't like. I still feel weird about doing. Like, um, I don't know. I feel like James, you'll clock this tea, but like, I don't know. Whenever like I have like a queer programming on or whatever, right? Like Drag Race or whatever, and they come around, I'm like,
Definitely.
oh, I'm like,
Yeah.
so
Um,
that's like a little things, like never just like explicitly sharing those things, and I never like talk about like boys or like anything like who I'm dating, whatever.
Oh, girl.
Not that
No,
not that we
ma'am.
are, but
Not that we are.
that's a whole other episode.
Please. Please.
So it's definitely like I feel like I filter like little parts of myself out. That's like just one aspect of it. But Alex, I feel like you have like a different perspective because you're kind of out, like
yeah, yeah. I came out when I was a junior in high school, so
icon.
like my
She's a
my
legend.
family.
She's an icon. She's a
Legend.
I
star.
was actually the
Mm.
first one in this group to come out.
Literally.
Actually, like
It
Period.
was
because
like
I
smack him. None of us ever
yeah
thought.
because I came
Literally.
out, everyone else like got the courage, I guess, to come out
Literally,
themselves.
no, you
Oh,
you you paved the way, like literally, because like it was like, oh, this is fine. Like, no one's gonna think it's weird. Like, I'll be safe.
Yeah, so I guess I did pave the way, but yeah, so I've been out for a while. So I live in a single mother household with all my siblings plus my uncle. So it's what, four, five, plus, plus another person. So like six people in one house. It's a very small house for the amount of people who are living inside the house. So me going to college is a way for me to have my own space, create my own space, create my own friend, connections and things like that. So the pandemic, it happened during my spring break. So
Mhm.
um, a lot of people were out in Florida, were out like whatever. I went home for spring break because I don't really vacation like that. So during the spring break was when they announced the pandemic and schools are closing and all that stuff. So because of that, a lot of people weren't allowed to say like final goodbyes, like
right.
seniors,
Yeah.
like their school year was canceled during their spring break. So a lot of like last minute like moving in to a place that I didn't wasn't really prepared for living long
Right.
term. and like I don't have a room in this house really. Like I sleep in the living room, things like that. So like a very very on top of each other type of situation right now.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
with that, it's a lot of like, what do you call it? It's kind of stunting like my growth. Like I'm trying to grow, I'm trying to be out there, trying to, you
Mhm.
know, do my adult
So true.
things. Like I'm 21, but I'm home. I'm
Work.
just like, you know,
Come on, legal.
I could be out doing things, you
You could
know.
be out clubbing. Come on.
Yes,
Come on,
I could be doing
21.
my,
Right.
you know, I could be out in New York City. I could be, you know,
New York City of
I
all places, like
right. I could be out
literally.
there in Stonewall and shit, but I'm at home.
Please.
So, you know,
Yeah.
I was actually
Yeah.
really looking forward to this year to like be out and, you know, actually do
Oh,
things, meet up, you know, create those connections, but it kind of
Right.
said no. So,
I feel like for like James and me too, like I totally understand what you're saying because that was my immediate reaction to it. Felt so like, wow, everything I have right now, and I know, at least for me, like I was just really like settling into, you know, where I go to school, and like it felt really comfortable, and like it was my first year, mine and James, so like I felt like it was just like in a matter of seconds, like
yeah.
ripped away from me. Um, like even moving back, like you said, Alex, I really didn't get to say goodbye to anyone because my spring break happened too. And my parents originally were gonna come visit Davis, but like obviously everything was starting to close, so like we canceled that. Come on, cat.
Come on, pussycat.
Yeah, which cat is
Word.
that? Come on, Alex.
it's my cat, Chloe.
But
Ah,
yeah, like I feel like for sure, yeah, it was just a major shock. Obviously everyone's dealing with it in different ways, but it just kind of sucked because it was like my freshman year, and I feel like, you know, I didn't really get the closure I really needed. So that's a weird thing. Closure is definitely a weird concept. But James, what about you?
So like I moved. I'm gonna ignore that. I moved all the way around LA, right?
Right.
So that was a big move for me, and that first semester was very like, it was very sad. Like I was very sad because I was just very lonely. Like I guess like I didn't realize like how community college culture is like much more different than you would expect, because people in community college, like usually they're from the same area, they know the gals, like they know who their Judies are, like so they're gonna go to class and they're gonna go home and that's it.
Right.
Me being new, I'm like, oh, like I'm ready to like be friends with people and stuff like that. And like, and of course, like I made friends and all that, but it was just like not what I expected. And then, so right before the pandemic hit, I was starting to like finally like live my life. Like I started having like a friend group, and like it wasn't from school, it was actually from my job. Like I was having like, I had these coworkers that like I started getting really close to, and we were finally doing stuff out, and I finally felt like I was living my life. And then like it just was like, oh, you gotta go.
Literally.
And I
yeah.
literally like I wake up the Sunday before I left, and my mom's like, oh, so this shit is real, so like your dad and your sister are driving down right now to get you. And it was just like, whoa, what in the fuck is happening? And yeah, I just feel, I mean, like I know that there's gonna be a time where I can finally like return back and like do what the things I wanted. It's just very, I don't know how to explain it. It's very disappointing. And
Honestly,
like
like I was just gonna say, I
yeah.
feel like I would like just describe it like, I don't want to sound dramatic, but I feel like it's like collective trauma. Like really, like just having like that situation happen to you. I don't know if you guys agree, but like I feel like it was a traumatic situation. Like, you know, we're all like living, especially for us because we're at like, yeah, that
Right.
college age, and like everyone wants that college experience, you know, like we're at a very crucial like part and time in our lives. So it felt very kind of like, yeah, traumatic just to like leave that and have that happen. So I think we're going to be processing this stuff for like a long time.
A long time, especially us as gay men. You know, it's being said, it's been said, I believe it. I know it's lived experience that like gay men, we go through like a late adolescence. So I was robbed of a high school experience
Yeah.
Yep.
going to my all boys hetero
Hetero?
masculine
Huh? Huh?
like religious school where like we are not
another
gonna, no.
story. Another
No,
story.
no
bro.
classing the
Another
today,
story.
Yeah,
but,
that's we can have a whole, but I was robbed of like, what you see in the movies, you're dating, you're figuring out yourself, you can do
Yeah.
whatever you like, you're dipping and doing it, you're trying out different things. I couldn't do that because I had that hurdle jump over of like first figuring out myself, then being able to come out to family, then friends, and then all this stuff. So I was kind of robbed of that. In college, when I turned 18, that became my time. So college
Yeah.
is very much for most colleges, a safe space for LGBTQ youth in learning, figuring out themselves, dipping and doing it, and all that stuff. So for
Right.
that to
Yeah.
be taken away from us, it's kind of like, oh shit, well, what do I do now?
I definitely agree with you, Alex. It's kind of like I don't want to call it like a safe haven, but it really is because you finally like, I mean, again, hookup apps and stuff are like a whole other topic. And also too, like college hookup culture, I feel like is another topic we can explore. But obviously I feel like it's a place for sure because you have your own space where you can really go and have fun exploring, sexually safely, of course. And finding those other, in person queer friends too, especially because a lot of people's high schools are really small as well, and so sometimes that's even not a space where they feel like they can, or oftentimes it's not a space where they feel like they find those friends. So having the autonomy to kind of like create your own little friend groups or like find what you like, not even just like sexually, like find like what you're into spiritually, like what your interests are, I feel like is like a really good place to do it as college. And definitely like I feel stunted now a little bit.
Yeah, I'm definitely, it's colleges. I like when Alex said like we have like a late adolescence. It's very true. Like you're getting to do all these firsts that like you're like hetero classmates back in high school. Like they're like, oh really, like been done
Right.
that,
They're like,
bro. Like
oh,
what?
you haven't had sex, you haven't had a kiss yet. I'm like, bitch, I can't even
You
find
haven't
you.
yeah, literally.
like,
You haven't
like,
even
No.
you
like,
haven't held hands yet? You haven't gone on a date yet?
right,
What?
like,
Right? Say, they're all bottoms at my high school. What was I
Oh,
supposed to do?
well, girl,
pew.
you was
That's all
in
I'm gonna
the
say.
music,
Pew.
right? What'd you expect? You was on the choir team. What'd you expect to
Right.
find?
But yeah, like that's so true. Like even if we want to harken back to like the romance, like sex side, yeah, I had my first date like in college, like the first semester, right? And I also too, like there was a couple of people I was talking to before, like right before quarantine happened, who I had gone on dates with, or well, not a couple people, it was just one other person who I went on a date with, but there was a couple people I was talking to. And like when you're not in the environment, you know what I mean? I feel like it's a lot harder to like keep that connection because these people are like people I would see like every day because like I was living in like the same dorm community. Or like I knew them from a class. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it's harder to keep that alive here. And obviously it's harder with like social distancing and, everything else.
Yeah. I feel like just moving back home was just, I like personally for me, it kind of scared me a little bit in the way that I was like, oh, like, because the whole reason why I left my home was me and my dad were just not, we just don't
Well,
see
you
eye
have a
to
lot
eye
of
a lot.
trauma from your lived experience,
Right.
like was very traumatic growing up because of the
Yeah.
way you were, like because of your identity. So
Yeah. And like I love my dad. I love my dad, but it's just like the thing about me being gay, like throughout my whole life, he would just be like, oh, like, don't act too girly, stand up straight. What are you doing? Don't laugh too hard. Stop walking like that, all these things. And like once I moved back home, I was like, maybe he's gonna like get the hint, like back off. No, like I'm like walking around the house, like doing my, like when I'm feeling my oats, I'm gonna like walk around. And and it just started again, and it just was like, oh my god, like I don't want to hear all of this. Like I've left the house and all of these things. I've become independent, and now you're just gonna And now I feel like I've taken some steps back because of this whole pandemic and moving back home. And I know that like it feels like selfish. People might think it's selfish, like, oh, like, at least you're not dead or anything. And totally
Right.
understand,
Oh,
like, it
100%.
Totally
totally could
understandable,
be
but
worse.
like totally understandable. But
Just on a
we're just
minuscule
talking,
level.
yeah,
Yeah.
on a minuscule
Yeah.
level, we're talking kind of like, we're saying this is like our experience. It's kind of like another side of the pandemic.
Right.
Does that make sense? Like the
Another
little
side of the
things.
pandemic. Yeah, the little things that like being rushed back home, a space that most people don't consider safe. Like what
Yeah.
that is like in that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And also
So
to acknowledge, there's probably tons of people who have it way worse than us, but this is just
Yes.
our like
Right, yeah.
100%.
experience, you know?
so it was just very it was hard, but you know, even before I left, I was like just started to like just push it out, whatever.
Right.
And towards the end before I left, I was like, okay, like just a few more, like whatever. And I would just like not even engage with it. I'd be like, okay, whatever you want to say, girl. Like,
Mhm.
and now that I'm like out of the house and like I currently live with my older brother and his girlfriend right now, because they relocated. I feel like there's definitely something that's been lifted off my shoulders, um, and it's exciting. I mean, not exciting, and just like it's just refreshing. Like I'm just
Yeah.
like I'm just happy that I can do that. But
Yes.
Yeah.
So on a closing note, because we got to wrap soon, but basically what James is getting at is kind of like that feeling of like, as he said, he still loves his dad, but also at the same time, there's a fear of like disappointing your parents. I think that's what we like. That's one thing that we hate. Like when our parents say, "Oh," instead of our parents saying like, "Oh, I hate you," it's I'm disappointed in you. That's like the
Right.
worst feeling, and it's like
I feel
it's
like
a
we should do a whole
conflict.
other podcast on like
Yeah,
relationships, like queer
yeah.
but
Because
literally,
continue,
it's a
Alex.
feeling of
Yeah.
like, do I want to disappoint them? But they said that they, they support me in being happy. But this does make me happy, but also disappoints you. So it's like that tug of war. It's like, okay, let me
yeah,
leave this house so I don't have to play that game anymore. So like that's kind of like the whole topic in a sense of, just coming home and like going through those games. And it's like I don't want like I'm not here for that. Like I just want to be able to live without that lingering cloud of like, oh, am I gonna do something that would lead to my parents' disappointment?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's come on. Hold on the
Yeah,
back.
for
Come
for
on.
first
Fine.
for first time,
First
that was pretty cool.
episode.
Right. If
Yeah,
it's a
I
little
like it.
crunchy, like don't mind it, girls.
Yeah,
Like we're just
We're
getting
getting
we'll
started.
get
Like
better.
Yeah.
We'll get
Come
better.
on.
don't worry about
You know
it.
what the cheetah girl said? The party's just begun. Come on.
The party's just begun.
We can't sing too much. We don't want that. We don't want to pay
Copyright.
royalty coins.
Right. We don't
Copyright.
got that budget.
Right.
Yeah.
But
We
yeah,
don't got the
that's
budget
pretty
for
much
that.
it, right? Thanks for joining, girls. I think thanks.
Yeah. This is a
Yeah,
cute
thanks
chat.
for
Like,
coming.
Yeah, it was a nice chat.
All right, girls. We'll see you in the next episode.
bye. Mwah.
Ciao.